Okay, so how much time do we get?
Okay, Peter, so we're recording again. We got like 35 minutes or so. So I'm Luke Angstadt. This is our podcast, Knowledge Wars. I'm the author of the book, The Musings of De La Pew. It's a 20-year investigation into the nature of reality, the nature of existence, God, human beings, and the relationship between all of them. You can find the details to the book and links to Amazon in the description page to this video, which will be posted on YouTube and Rumble. Here I have my co-host who has been off on quite a journey overseas for a couple of months, and we've had great difficulties trying to reconnect and with our correspondence, but we were able to reconnect again, and I am happy to have Peter Rusevich here again. Peter's also an author of 3 books, which I am eager to have him announce to me and our audience.
The co-author, yeah.
And the co-author, and also the links to Peter's books will be in the description page to this video as well. So Peter, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your books too.
Okay, I'm Peter Rusevich, and I'm the co-author, as Luke has just said. The 3 books, they are present on Amazon, and I am the translator of those books. Their names are Nikola Tesla, Third Reich and the Extraterrestrials, the Culture and the Mythologies of Techno World. And people are getting more and more into buying them. So I'm also the kind of a, specialist for the esoteric subjects and the occult. And okay, that's it.
And Peter, where we're at, we're like, a lot of our conversations deal with this transformation. I mean, our reality, our reality that human beings live in is being transformed by artificial intelligence. I mean, more than anything else. I mean, we are being absorbed by another frequency, another parallel universe is absorbing our universe. And people, a lot of science fiction writers, I mean, Arthur C. Clarke, Philip K. Dick, scientists, I mean, lots of nuclear scientists, scientists that are on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence. I mean, not least of which Nikola Tesla, who we've had a lot of conversations with, have been talking about this impending technological transformation. It's more than just a revolution. It is, we are transforming existence, and it really does come down to alchemy, right? I mean, we've touched on alchemy. I mean, a lot of people think of it's just the transformation of base metals, the medieval practice of transforming base metals into gold, but it reaches much further than that. I mean, it deals with a spiritual transformation, and people. Not just the keepers of the secret esoteric knowledge of how this universe works, how perception works. I mean, I'm going down to the various tangents, but I mean, our governments obviously know, and they're mainstream media mouthpieces that just browbeat us over the head with 24/7 propaganda. I mean, programming people's brains. I mean, that in and of itself is alchemy. That is esoteric knowledge right there. And we've been talking about individual alchemists dating back to I believe the 13th century. But I know Peter and I both know this. I mean, through our ongoing correspondence, is that this transformation deals with it's alchemy. Ultimately, it is alchemy, and it has a long. I mean, it stretches back further than the Middle Ages. I mean, it's as old as time. It's as old as, for as long as there have been an intelligent life form existing in this universe, there has been alchemy, Peter. And I think that's where we left off last time.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think that's completely important for the majority of humans on this planetary system, at least for our audience, for those who engage into watching our show, is to know that there are the 2 world's governments right now. The first one, which is oriented more towards reducing the amount of the population through the already very well-known means, and which relies on the money, and which is, let's be childish to put it this way, negatively oriented. And the other spiritual world's, planetary government, which is called the White Spiritual Brotherhood. And they don't rely on the money that much because they don't need it, and they're mostly the Russian theosophists. That's the lineage established by H.P. Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky has been married to Colonel Olcott. So those are the two lines that connect London and Moscow, because she died in London. And
now, Peter, do they have bases underground as well, under the earth?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
That no matter how I appreciate Vladimir Putin, it's not him and the Russian. Это не русское государство. It's not him and the Russian government who govern the Russian Federation, but those are the so-called starets, the elders, who to whom the Russian government obeys and bows to and listens to. And those elders are not necessarily oriented towards Christendom, but they're rather theosophists. And
Peter, these two groups have two very different aspirations for where they want to take life on this planet, do they not?
Well, theosophy, as well as you know very well, is a melting pot between the science and religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been officially established by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, but actually the information has been conveyed to her by the lamas, and those lamas correspond with those Russian elders who are theosophists and Buddhists sometimes, and they're esotericists. They're not necessarily Christians, and China and Russia are the one single state because there ain't no border between them. I know that. They function as one mega structure. Mm-hmm. And the Russian elders are connected to the two esoteric societies in China, the Red Dragon and the Green Lotus, and there's the Red Tongue as well. So not like the tongue, the Red Tongue in Chinese language. And those two esoteric structures correspond with the Mahatmas. And those Mahatmas are the terrestrial, the supraterrestrial
are they like they're go-betweens between the temporal plane of existence and the etheric world, are they not? Right?
Of course, they are the envoys of the Shambhala and Agartha.
Yeah.
They function at the surface of the earth, and those are here's the catch and the punchline. They are the immortals who have overcome the necessity of being subdued to the three foes, the major enemies: aging, illness, and death, because they've overcome it. And every one of them is more than 500-600-year-old later, maybe even a few thousands. So those are the same Mahatmas that the wife of Nikolai Roerich, named Helena Roerich, was corresponding to, both mentally, telepathically, and via the letters. Mm-hmm. So those Mahatmas, you've got, many of them. So you've got Kuthumi, mm-hmm. You've got Hilarion, mm-hmm. or Hilarion. You've got Moria. You've got Sativ Kumara. So Kuthumi, for example, is in charge for the science and inventions. Hilarion is in charge for religion and spirituality in all ages. And whilst Moria is in charge for artists and creativity. And Sativ Kumar is very highly positioned as well. And he's one of the avatars. And you, of course, you've got Babaji that you probably heard of. He was the teacher to Jesus, because if we don't count the synoptic gospels that have been pulled out and erased, removed by the official ecclesiastical core because they weren't functioning, they weren't good enough for keeping people into the childish state of mind. You've got a situation in all those four gospels that survived, that the personality named Jesus, who was the Jewish king, who was married, who was having kids, children, that he came from the age of 12 to the age of 30. So where did all those 18 years go? So he was to India, he was to the Himalayas and to Central Asia, experiencing the esoteric knowledge and soaking the information from the lamas and Mahatmas. For example, Babaji was Jesus' personal coach, or however I was supposed to put this, a teacher or a mentor or a guru or whatever. So there are much more higher ranked and positioned, avatars than Jesus. He's not that highly ranked.
Peter, we're talking about like light bodies too. I remember and transforming the spiritual transformation through alchemy is lifting these corporal fleshly bodies into light bodies. And the correlations with Jesus saying, "I am the light of the world," and even the book of Revelation talks about us moving out in chapter 20, where we're going to be moving out of this world of duality, the world of what Plato talks about, the world of opposites, where everything is going back and forth between its opposites, either instantaneously or at a glacial pace. This in the obviously the good and evil, light and dark, old and young, and near and far, and hot and cold. This world of duality that we all know we live in it. The Bible even speaks about us moving into a singularity of light at the end of this dog and pony show, to add a little levity and humor here. But right, I guess my point, Peter, is my broader point with this is that there are a lot of correlations with the Bible, with biblical prophecy, when talking about when this world that we presently inhabit is going to be transformed. We see the correlations with the artificial intelligence with the artificial transformation that is being, excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied, with the transformation of society brought on by artificial intelligence, and how this other frequency is absorbing our reality. I mean, the metaphors in the Bible prove to be apt, don't they?
Well, yeah, but we, as the connoisseurs of the esoteric knowledge, to a certain extent at least, we rely more on the theosophical literature than the Bible itself, because the Bible is a mass, a melting pot itself, and that we know that has been created for the millennia, and even more than that. And the last redactory intervention has been done in the 5th century BC by the Alexandrian bishop. So
Peter, the Theosophists, where do they want the human race to go? Where do they see that? How do they want to see this transformation taking us? Because I mean, we see one party wants to enslave the entire human race, right? I mean, and it goes beyond the human race too. One faction, there is a force in this universe that just wants power and control, as Nietzsche said. It's just a will to power, a will to control, just for the sake to fucking hold on to power and control over people. I mean, that force has dropped its loincloth and is out of the shadows, and it's just doing everything it can to grasp all of its power, and it wants to retain that power forever if it could. But then there's also another. But we're also seeing this. There's an awakening happening, right? There's an awakening of not just of human beings, because we're human beings, and I see it. I see it through various online communities. I see it in my local community from just talking to people, that people are starting to wake up. So we have these two conflicting ongoing revolutions, which and they're transformations. I mean, they're transformations of the universe, but they are diametrically opposed to each other. Because one wants to liberate consciousness, the other one which just wants to enslave consciousness.
Okay, so the second group, the second ones, which are not too much attached to enslaving and conquering the rest of the co-workers of the same species,
Mhm.
are called the white spiritual brotherhood,
Mhm.
or the real world's government. Why am I saying this? Because the evolutionary process always goes further. No stopping.
Mhm.
That's for sure. So nobody, the senile, demented elders cannot. I'm speaking about some people that we know very well.
Mhm.
Cannot seize the evolutionary process simply because they're going to the graveyard. No, sir, you can't.
Mhm.
So this is our lineage. This is our part, and my marital godfather is the member, a member of that spiritual brotherhood, the world's government, and he is the representation of the Republic of Serbia in that spiritual brotherhood.
Mhm.
So he told me once when we were sitting at the table. So therefore, and hence, you can also be a part of the world's government if you have an email. So I understood that. It was 9 years ago, and I took it seriously enough. So I've got an email. So a smart one could easily get a conclusion from this last statement. But the point is that everybody who is on the high enough level of the esoteric knowledge, who's a connoisseur, we're not simply bragging around with it. Some is and some aren't, right? So everybody who is good enough, in the knowledge, can be a part of that world's government,
Mhm.
which relies on Tesla and the spiritual transformation and the alchemy, and does not rely on money solely. It's like Elon Musk. He's the product, no matter how rude that can sound, and he's a product of Russian Theosophical Society in South Africa, because the entire diamonds that are stored there belong to Russians. Why did South Africa enter the BRIC countries? Because of the Russian diamonds. So Elon Musk is a South African. He's a Russian theosophist. He has lesser money than you and I have. Why? Because, in spite of the common thinking. Why? Because he doesn't need it. When needed to get the money for certain gadgets and projects and development, they make it. And that's it. So the highest spiritually positioned individuals, they don't rely on money. So those Mahatmas that correspond to Shambhala and its capital Agartha, there are several enterings into the inner realm, which is realistic, it's not metaphorical.
Oh no, there's one in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, there is one in Mexico. There are several there are two in Mongolia. There are several in the Caucasus. There are 5 in Tibet, and 17 of them in the front Himalayan reef.
Mhm.
There is one in Xinjiang. There is, I've mentioned the Gobi Desert, and there are 3 of them in Siberia, one in the Tiva Republic,
So Peter,
one,
I have
and
a
so
question.
on. Okay, so those
No,
Mahatmas,
Peter,
they
Peter, I
yeah,
have a question. Peter, I have a
yeah.
question for you. Where do they want to take the world?
Who?
the Theosophists? Where do they want to take the world? What
Okay,
once we're through this maelstrom, and once we're through this insanity, or maybe we never will be, but where do they ultimately see us once we get out, once this storm has passed? You know, to put it as mildly and the grossest understatement we could ever come up with, but where do they see the world going after this? Where do they want us to be?
all right. The constant present thing in the nature, the only constant present in nature is change,
Hmm.
as well as we know. So from time is the constant zero. So the matter moves. So even the tiny objects like this planet Earth are subdued to the constant changes. So in certain momentums, the change must occur, which is normal. And even if it's allegedly evil or malevolent, it comes up positively somehow. So this is an extremely important moment because the technological development and the growth of consciousness have matched and they fitted to each other. And there are 5 things about to be erased and eradicated soon as a conclusion to our previous
And
shows.
Peter, does this coincide with us moving out of the Kali Yuga?
Oh yeah, we're definitely leaving that yug or yuga.
Yeah.
In certain literature, it's defined even as yug in Sanskrit and Devanagari scripture, of course. But you know, even in the English transliteration, you can pronounce it both, and you're right.
I know we mentioned 3 before. We're going to overcome the necessity for human labor, the necessity for organized religion, and the necessity for government.
Yeah, and the state
And
per se, the
yeah.
state itself is going to be erased because it's a primitive stadium of the evolutionary development that has survived somehow, and you know, survived to these days. But those are the last days of the state per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's a hordic, how can I put it? It's a level of the society structure that is more that is primitive and not anymore applicable to this technological momentum. Why do I need a state which produces the entropy, the suffering, and plundering and hesitation if I can arrange everything I want with you or with a friend of mine from Brazil or from the US or Canada or India or UAE via Facebook? Where is the largest state on this planet right now? It's Facebook. It has more inhabitants than India and China together. It's 4.5 billion people. So I don't need any government, you neither. I'm not retarded, right? I can do everything via Google Translator. I speak the languages and I learn 20 more of them, so I don't need an ambassador neither. So the state as a concept and as a practical issue is to be flushed away soon. So the state, the religion is the second thing, because the religions don't suit the necessities of human animals or beings anymore. So there is one sort of Buddhism. It's a Hinayana. There's a left-hand path. It's about to survive. The rest is certainly about to go to retirement. Okay, so the necessity of hard labor. We've got the robots. I think I published and I posted on the Facebook. I bought a dust cleaner. It's a robot that I control with Tesla remote controller, patent from 1898. So I'm sitting in a chair and I push the button so it cleans up the entire house, which ain't too small, within 5 minutes at most. So and Sophia Sophia is a character in one of my novels that I'm writing on right now. So everybody will have a personalized, individualized Sophia for drone driving, airplane driving, terrestrial vehicle, meaning car driving, for sexual mating, for psychotherapy if needed, for job, chancellor, business, maintaining job, for digging, minting cryptocurrency, you name it. Some would say,
Peter, I have a quick question for you. As far as why the and maybe we'll both be able to answer this question, but I mean, we know there's been a globally connected, concerted effort to eliminate all voices of dissent. I mean, even free speech. It almost comes to the point where they want to eliminate, personal expression itself. I mean, that's not. I mean, that's any person with two eyes and two ears, can see that that's what's going on. Now, is that attempt by the state to eliminate all voices and all forms of dissent? Is that just their last desperate grasps to hold on to power that they know they're going to lose, that they're ultimately going to lose? Or I think this is an important to point for you and I to unravel here, because I mean there's nothing uglier than fascism. There's nothing uglier than the unraveling of language and expression, and then just they're trying to because ultimately policing people's speech it leads to policing people's thoughts, and you do that and you get that pattern engraved into the individual points of consciousness having an experience in this planet. Well, then they will no longer, it's going to reach a point where people won't even be able to think anymore, or it could be theoretically. So I circle back here and say to myself, is this attempt to eliminate expression, is that desperation on the state, or is it more than that?
well, yeah, the roots of evil as well. You've been researching the nature of evil, and that's something very enticing and appealing to research by a smart cookie as you are. That the roots of the evil are the malignant narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this we all have it, the self-loving to a certain extent. But when we try to put the yoke upon the other one's neck and to impose our political will against that's defined as evil, right?
Well, most people do. Yeah, most people do.
It's been described in Scott Peck's psychiatric works that are very well explained. Maybe I disagree with certain parts, but that's the point.
Well, then there are some outliers, right? There are outliers. I mean, you and I. I mean, there are outliers who just want to have an open conversation, an open investigation, right? That they use language because we're these flesh and bones that are born with a tongue that sends vibrations into the universe, and then another being with a tongue and flesh and bones will hear those vibrations in their ear, and then they communicate. They're having an experience. So we're using language. Not everyone. I mean, most people do use it. They want to impose their will on other people. So not everyone. I mean, not everyone falls into that camp. I mean, there are outliers.
No, but
yours truly one of them.
Yeah. I mean, the vanity is something that is redundant, that is primitive, that has survived, that is not applicable, which is important at most, not applicable for this very moment, because those from the negatively oriented government are about to collapse soon. The people from the wise spiritual brotherhood are in the esoterically higher level, period. The level of consciousness, the state of mind, and the energetic power thus are incomparably higher than anybody else's. I don't want to mention the particular names, which are not important anyway, because we want to preserve our channel, right?
Sure.
So that's the point, and which is a little bit cunning, but smart way to avoid the issues. Not because we're afraid. I don't give a shit about.
I don't either.
I just want our
voices to be heard.
Yeah, we're 80 years old together, so we don't take too much, the thing seriously or something. But the point is that the evolution goes its own way, and the wide spiritual brotherhood, meaning the real planetary, the real world government, supports the evolution as constant growth towards up, towards forwards, not towards back. So whoever tries to suppress and to stop the evolutionary process, comprehend as a constant growth, is wrong. So they're about to see soon, because everything in nature has its own pinnacle. The pinnacle has been reached. The decline is about to come up soon. So the necessity of war is about to be overcome soon. Why do I need to maintain the classical type of warfare? I don't need it. A soldier face to face, I have to transport the military corps members to Iran or to wherever, Afghanistan, and they get drunk and they rape the population, and I have to feed them because they're hungry, and it's very expensive, and I waste the money on selling helicopters and tanks, and it's stupid, and
Well,
wasting
Peter, I think,
fuel.
I mean, all war is grounded in the fear of scarcity, right? I mean,
Yeah,
in
but what's the
security. I mean,
point?
they're
Yeah,
securing
yeah,
resources, fighting for resources, right? Primarily land and
of course.
the minerals and everything else that lives underground and what grows above. I mean, but it's the
Yeah,
fear of scarcity, right?
yeah.
Not
But
having
what makes the point with our mission, with
Mhm.
our show, is that the year of 2020 has been the year of the great importance, if anything is, and the great features and characteristics, because the Azerbaijani drones were easily recognizing the Armenian drones in Nagorno-Karabakh. That's regarding the military position. So we don't need to maintain the classical warfare maintenance anymore. Simply, it became redundant. So it will, if anything, in the further future, will come up as in James Cameron's Terminator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Mhm.
the I'll be Buck guy.
Mhm.
So the machines will fight machines.
Mhm.
So there ain't no human interference and human factor anymore.
Mhm.
And the fifth thing is the necessity of hard labor. We don't have to do that anymore. The year of 2020 has been the cut from the old comprehended situation where the people have to go to the offices and to be part of the rat race, selling their time and energy for money, mostly the insufficient amounts of. So I personally receive dozens of emails on daily level from the people who are happy, who are satisfied, and who do the online business earnings like we do on Amazon or other resources. So we
Peter, I have
don't
a
have
question for
to
you.
work
Peter,
anymore.
yeah. No, I have a question for you because
Yep.
I do believe that we're moving out of the Kali Yuga, and I don't know if we're moving into the Satya Yuga. I mean, which would be comparable to the Garden of Eden, the Golden Age in Greece. I mean, the Egyptians talked about a golden age. I mean, the shamans in North America and Central America talked about a golden age where everyone just all of life was living in harmony. I mean, nothing had to be killed. I mean, we all communicated telepathically with no chaos, with no barriers between communication. I mean, it was just a complete universal synchronistic harmony of all life. And again, that age is going to end because we come back to Plato. I mean, that there are inexorable laws of the universe where it's just or inexorable principles, immutable laws of the universe. One of those being opposites always work their way back and forth between their opposites, and that certainly applies to these ages. I mean, the four ages: the age of Kali, the age of Satya, what is it, Drea, and Treta. I might be mispronouncing some of them, but in any case, there are four ages. So I guess, and I want to segue this into the next one, Peter, because I want to continue this conversation. But do you think this next age we're moving into is it going to be the age that Plato and Socrates talked about that was even ancient during their day, that golden age where there was a complete globe, a universal harmony of life, or is it going to be just a slightly improved version? I mean, I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be the Satya Yuga. I really do. But what are your intimations on this, Peter? And then we're at 2 minutes, so I want to continue this into the next one.
Okay, no problem, my friend. Here for you. Okay, definitely. The answer to your question is definitely. The point is that still we're going to be able to handle with and to consciously choose and decide about our lifespan by the means of telomerization and nanotechnologies, and we were discussing about it, and we'll be doing more. But within still, until we do that, within an average lifespan, it's impossible to deal with something as a yuga or a yuga, because maybe it's gonna occur within the further 200 years. But the point is that the esotericists that I've been contacting with, they know that we've already entered. So even if we entered, it has its own pinnacles and its own best parts and its own worst parts. And those are all about the cosmic energies that affect certain parts of the universe, yes, including this planet. So this is definitely the entering into the golden age. And
hey, Peter, we're at 1 minute here. I know, but you lose track of time, but I want to, so I want this, let's pick this up in 20 minutes, if you're able to.
No problem.
And if you could turn, I mean, you're kind of in the dark there, so if there's any way we can find a lamp,
the
or
AC,
an overhead
AC
ceiling, a ceiling light, is that way our audience can see you.
There is an AC tester in the room.
Maybe even a candle, anything. But
a candle.
Yeah,
Did you watch the 16 candles? Like in the movie, 16 candles.
Sure. So hey, so Peter, we're gonna continue this in 20 minutes because we're gonna get cut off here. So
right, I'll be
see you
there
shortly.
No problem. See ya.
Okay, I'll see you.